Hi, Mark.
Hey, George. Everything.
Hello.
Hi, Jane. How are you this evening?
Oh, hanging in there, working.
Going down to Washington tomorrow?
No. No.
Sign me up.
We were kidding our granddaughter. She's the high school she goes to has its own internal TV station,
Oh,
and she's on the crew. So we were wondering if she was going to get press credentials.
oh, oh.
Yeah, just to be on the river, right?
Yeah.
No, I think it's, just sort of watch it from TV and,
Yeah.
let them do their thing.
Mhm.
I'm going to be watching it with a buddy and eating sushi, so.
Ah, hello, Davids
Hi.
and Bill.
Hello.
Howard
Hello, George.
and Mark.
Hey, everybody.
Guys,
So
Hey, Mike.
Mark,
go
Mark,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Mark, is that your Zoom chair then?
Which Mark? Are we
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark Young.
Mark Young? It's one of my Zoom chairs, I guess. I don't know.
His pulpit chair.
It's the one where I can put the recliner feet up in case there's a dog that jumps up there, and that way it doesn't.
Ah,
All right, I have a question. Are professional bios written in third person or first person?
Depends who wrote them, I suppose.
My son, I must have to write a professional bio, and he doesn't know. I don't know.
I saw Bill holding up 3 fingers.
I would say 3, yes.
Yeah.
Let me check with Linda because she's a retired HR person.
there you
There we
And,
go.
she might even help him write it if you.
Ah,
She's a good writer. I think she's on the phone down in the basement right now.
Welcome, Dave Shaw.
oh, I got the 3 Daves down there.
Hello, hello.
Exactly.
In a row, does that mean we get bingo?
Yes, exactly. And Mark Young has the Paul Lynn square on my screen.
Mine too.
How appropriate.
Look at that.
So who has Charlie Weaver? I'm trying to-
I don't
Let me get my
remember.
hat.
Howard does.
Jane, right now you have to be Rosemary.
Okay. I think Bill is Whoopi though, isn't he?
Ooh. Is she even old enough to be on that show?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe not the first go around, but
Yeah.
How sad is it we all know who all these people are?
We happen to be chronologically gifted.
I like that.
I
Exactly.
have no idea who you're talking about.
There you go.
Nice.
Good try, Mark.
Dave Shaw, you look like you're in some sort of support role there. So I'm going to ask you about my computer. I have a Either that or I'd like to order my Time Life books.
Nice. Hey,
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Exactly.
Columbia House CDs.
Oh,
oh,
Records.
oh, yeah.
Book of the Month Club.
24 records for $1.99.
exactly.
Hey, the Book of the Month Club was in Mechanicsburg.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
been taken over. Somebody else owns the building now.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I drive by it. It's right on the right off the turnpike there, isn't it? That building.
Yeah, yep, that's the one. Beautiful building.
Dave Hayes, you have like a really peachy glow to your room there.
No, really. That's
Are you sitting in front of the fireplace or?
nice.
Just say yes.
My yellow room.
All right. Let's see. We might as well call the meeting to order. Joys and concerns from anybody this week?
I'll have to start off with a joy that Gabe was sent home from school by the nurse saying that he was in close contact with someone who had the virus. And then he had to quarantine for 2.5 days before he could get tested, and then his test came back negative. So he's
Yay.
sprung from quarantine. Not that it was that bad, because his room turned into a bachelor pad with a 32-inch TV and Xbox and all that sort of thing. So, and he would FaceTime down and order dinner and things like that, so
Oh, God.
it wasn't too bad.
Would you
But
like
after 2.5 days, he did get a little rammy, like he wanted to get out. So, but so that's our joy.
Well, I've had the fun things, doctors trying to get stuff out of the way. Had a colonoscopy a week ago Friday and a stress test last Thursday.
Oh, boy.
Both of them are fine.
Good.
Okay, so in the same vein,
Oh, goody.
Uh-oh.
Who is that?
I am in the process of dealing with a kidney stone.
Ooh.
Dang.
So the x-ray shows where it is, and the doctor says, well, look, I don't know how they can tell this, but by looking at the x-ray, it should pass.
Oh, ooh.
Let's
Okay.
just cross your fingers. I've been dealing with uncomfortability since like right before Christmas, and I finally had a CAT scan done, and that's what it showed. So
Oh, boy. Well,
Well, this too shall pass, Dave. Don't worry.
I certainly hope so.
Well, that's painful. My son was diagnosed with something called pseudo gout, which I'd never heard of.
huh.
It feels like gout, but it's a different kind of crystal in the ankle, but it's still extremely
Hmm.
painful.
Well, yeah.
Couple of days, antibiotics,
Yeah.
but it's doing better.
How are you
Jan
doing, Howard?
Nielsen had successful prostate surgery on Friday. So he's back home.
Who did?
Jan Nielsen
Oh,
of Jan and Pat.
Yeah.
Our daughter Heather's going into the surgeon on Friday to see about the possibility of more surgeries to sort of repair and do everything. So she's a little nervous about that, but she's sort of looking forward to it in a way, because it would move her to the next stage. So yeah, Friday's a big day for her.
Mm.
We got a note today. I haven't talked to him yet, but Bill McKinney's sister has been diagnosed with a rare blood cancer of some sort.
Mm. Mm.
Jim Pearson's been in and out of the hospital. Larry Bollinger, Doris's son, is at ablation still in the hospital, but looks like he came through that okay.
Oh, good.
And Glenn Douglas's brother passed. I don't know if Pearson's home or not. Have you heard anything, Mark?
I haven't heard. Barbara was going to let me know what was going on. And I'm assuming no news is good news at this point.
All right. Anyone else?
Successful inauguration tomorrow with no
Yeah, really.
violence.
No drama, please.
Let's pray that it's not memorable.
Yeah, really.
Some of the ceremonies tonight have been but easy to watch. They're memorializing the 400,000 who died COVID, and the great pictures of the Capitol tonight with some decent weather for this time of year, and on the reflecting pond of the Washington Monument, they've done a luminary. So really striking, and good words from the new president.
Mhm.
All right, I'll open us up with prayer. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, be with each and every one of those individuals we brought to attention for prayers for healing and thankfulness for good tests, and people that members and family members and friends who are recovering from recent illness. Pray that you be with this group this evening to do your will and faithfully make sure that everything keeps and continues to go well with the church finances, so that we can continue to do great things in our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. I guess a couple items I thought we should bring up. Just was a final discussion review of updates to the 2021 budget. Bill, are you prepared to share that with us and go over any any final comments, or I guess there we go.
That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. That's what I wanted to do.
Ah, it looks better.
Okay. So this is the final one that I sent out, and I don't think that there's anything else that we need to look at for this. I think it's all pretty much up to date, unless anyone had any issues with it.
So Bill, I didn't go back through it. Did you guys, per my last comments a while ago around Christmas time, did you catch all of the potential duplicates we had?
Yeah, I did. I pulled them out, and that brought it down to only 39,000 in the red.
Okay. All right.
And that's including a couple of the assumptions that we had, that like for the kinder house that we'd have 8 months at like 3 months this year at the reduced rate, and then 9 months. I think that's what we decided we were going to do. But yeah, so I think this is the final updated one, and I remember sending it out. So I don't think that there's anything else we need to go over with this.
I think we still have some duplications. The clergy group insurance, which is on line 50,
Yes.
is the same amount as the benefit senior pastor.
I don't have the other. I have to see if I can find the other document.
and my recollection is that at the salary package that was presented and approved at the conference with the DS or whatever, I think what Mark did was he kept the base salary the same,
Yes.
but put what increase there would have been into housing allowance.
Well,
Correct.
I took the COLA of the housing allowance and kept the salary the same.
Yep, that's there.
Right.
Right.
Jane said that what was approved at the charge conference was 21,971
Okay.
for the housing allowance.
I sent this to myself, and I think this is not the latest one, because in the latest one, I don't think I had option 1 in the budget. And I see that this this is still 6 and 6 for Kinderhouse. So this is not the final one, even though it says final.
Isn't it the worst when you've worked across like 8 different computers and you can never keep straight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Files are.
So I always do this meeting on my work computer because it's the only one I have with a camera on it. But I do all the other work on my desktop, which doesn't have a camera.
Mm. Mm.
So we can table this, and I can go downstairs in a minute and look and see if I have the other one. Oh, actually, I think I have another way of looking.
While you're looking, Mark, can I ask a question to Mark Young?
One minute. Okay, I'm sorry. I was sending Ed Hook the link. Let me see where I am. Here we are.
This is the last one that I sent out.
Okay, there we go. Okay, Dave, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just looking down here. Is that since you've announced that we have a new youth person, is that salary what we agreed to?
3,500.
Well, on this one, it was more.
Yeah.
I thought.
I got her to agree to 3,500, and that was based on the hours that would be involved as compared to the hours we budgeted for.
Right.
So that we set aside, I'm talking off from memory here. We'd set aside, what was it, 10,000 in case we were working with Royersford. And that would have been for a 4-week, basically every Sunday kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at going to 1 Sunday a month instead with Maddie on our own, that would have been like a quarter of that would have been 2,500, but with the preparation time involved being greater than it would anyway. So 3,500 would be the actual hours, including preparation time, contact time with the families, and program time.
Now, is she going to work with Royersford?
No, this is just on our own.
Okay, all right.
So Pastor Mark, let me ask you a question. I think just thinking about it, the housing allowance, were we meant to compute the 1 point, whatever the number was, I can't remember, 1.6 increase from your salary and add it to housing?
No.
It was 1.6 on the previous housing.
And the previous housing.
Okay, so we might have a slightly wrong number there.
Yeah.
All right.
if what, I think, George, is that what you had mentioned?
Yeah, I had some discussion back and forth with Jane about, setup of the budget.
Okay.
And she responded that, well, just that what was approved at charge conference for Mark's housing allowance was 21,971, which would be, she said, 1,831 a month, which would actually make it 21,972.
Did you say 21,972?
Yeah.
Okay. And Tom, for the Kinder House, were we going with 3 months at 1987 and 9 months at 2887 or 2987?
I think we said the first half would be with the reduction, and then hope that.
So, all right, so we were going 6 months and,
Go 6 and 6. That'll.
okay, all right, so that's correct then.
I'm pessimistic about their survival anyway, so.
Oh, boy.
Okay. All
Okay.
right, and then Mark, you said there was another, or, sorry,
So
George, you said there was
George-
another one about a duplicate with 18,000.
Yeah, 40 lines 47,
16,150.
47 and 50, I think, were the two lines that George is questioning. I think I might have had that same question.
And there's a similar question with Jane's.
So,
Because I think what they did in the reporting is that they reported the sum total of benefits under line 47. They didn't, when they posted the various expenses, they didn't separate them out the way that the budget was. So the 16,150 that's down in line 50 or whatever is essentially what they would do when they set up the budget, was that they would just lump all the benefits together rather than separating them out.
so this is the report, the church budget report. Can you see that?
Yeah,
Okay. So here's the clergy group insurance as 16,150.
right. That is part of the total benefit package.
Okay.
So you have 16,150 there, and then you have 16,150 4 lines
Yeah.
below.
Right. So I don't know how the books are set up, George, and I don't know if you remember, but which one of these line items needs to come out?
The top,
The 104 or
16,150.
14? Take this one out?
No, leave the line in, because what they did was, if you see in the month and the year to date, while we had a budget figure in for each of the items,
Right.
they posted the sum total in line 47. So you don't have to take the line out. You just have to take the number 16,150.
Right. So should I take it out of row 47 or
Uh,
take it out of row 51?
No, take it out of row 47. Take the number out of row 47.
So I see in the report Jane has for December that we do have values for both of those. Hang on, I'm trying to figure this out. I can't make.
So what happens is QuickBooks will take the number, well, they'll, rather than each month when they make the remittance to annual conference, the annual conference has the individual amounts that go out. But apparently what they've been posting is they've been sum totaling all of those things and reporting the total paid in line the 201014 in line 47. So it just makes it a little bit easier for them.
But it,
to
we've already
total.
put in 29,000 into that account this year.
Yeah, for 2020, we put 26. I can't read that. Oh my gosh.
It's 26,869.56.
So is it more than 16,000, but not 32,000? Or
It's the sum total of the items below. It's the 8,500, the 2,500, the 16, and the 800.
Mm.
So that's 10, 26, 27. It's about 28, 29,000 would be the sum total in line 47.
But in our budget, have we added another 16,150?
Now,
Oh, okay.
all right. So for expenses, let me read this off. For expenses reported last year, in the 1015 row, it was 8,544. For 1016 comprehensive protection plan 2544. Clergy group insurance 1017 was 1580, and mandatory health care fund 1018 is almost $400. Those add up to let's see, budgeted. We had budgeted last year 27,288, and the actual was that 26,869.
So as George said, if you add up what we show budgeted now, the way Bill has it now, without the top 16,150, it adds up to about 28,000. So that seems right to only have those 4 rows budgeted.
Right, that makes sense. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, 28,058.
That makes a lot more sense. And then our deficit is not 40 some. It's should be down to.
yeah, and if you go down into the benefits for Jane Halls, there's
Can you put that full screen, Bill? Or whoever's operating it?
Yeah, Bill's multiplexing.
No.
because the laity group insurance that shows as 8160
Thank you.
is on line 75 is also part of the 36,430.71 on line 69. The laity group insurance is included in that.
In here.
Yeah, or the 10,363.
Okay. So
So line 75 can actually come out completely.
and then is that 8,160 or is it 10? Is
The
this the correct number?
8160 is part of the
It's part of this,
10,363.20
Okay,
because that's the laity group insurance. That's the group health insurance. There's also dental and vision.
So do you want to take out that whole line or just make the 8160 a zero?
Take the whole line out because
Yeah.
it's included in the benefits.
Got any more money you can make for us, George?
I know. I love it, George. Keep going. Keep going.
Well, there's one that goes the other way a little bit.
No.
We don't want to hear that.
George,
Mark,
you're breaking up.
can you lead us in prayer? Good night, everyone.
Because on line 83, the Vanco service charge.
Yes, hello. Yes, hello. Yes, hello.
There was nothing budgeted. But in the year-end report, we spent like $930. That's the service charge we pay to Vanco for the people who make their pledge payments through Vanco. There's a service charge for that.
We should budget that for sure.
Yeah.
yeah. So it was like $913 for this year.
And 68 cents.
Just want to make it 1,000 for the year.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Is that like PayPal or something like that?
Similar to, yes.
It's kind of like if you were a business and you accepted credit cards, you have to pay a percentage fee on your sales.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why they always talk about it needs to be a $10 minimum because I think they pass along that fee to you, or the $10 minimum allows them to not
Make
pay
a
that or
dollar.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. PayPal's service charge is actually higher than Vanco's.
Interesting.
And we rarely get anybody that, or at least up through the end of 2017, rarely had anybody that was making contributions through PayPal. There might have been one or two a year.
Oh, cat.
All right, Bill, what's the bottom line? Where are we at now?
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll.
16.6.
38.
It's a little better.
So based on our let's assume that that's a good number. Based on our previous, guidelines, we should take this report to Ad Council for sure. If this ends up being our final and we approve it here tonight. But do we need to ask Ad Council for any special approvals with this particular budget, or I think we're under the percentage that would drive us to require us to do that. I just don't remember the exact number. Was it 10% or 5%? I just can't remember of the overall.
I should know that, and I don't.
I mean, if it was 5%, that would get us to a deficit of close to 20 grand,
Yeah.
which we're under.
Tom, do you recall?
I don't recall if there's a rule of thumb on this issue. So
Yeah,
I think you should just report it,
Yeah, we will.
what it is, and make sure that we have other resources to cover in that case, I think the Ad Council will approve
Okay.
the budget.
Yeah, I agree. It needs to go to them. I would also have to look it up. I believe it's something like 4%, under 4%, sorry, under 4% our total endowment funds right? The idea being that rule of 4%, if you never spend more than 4%, it lasts forever. And I think this amount would be under what we have previously budgeted as a deficit, and I think it would fall within that rule so that they don't have to necessarily vote on it, but I can just look that up.
Okay.
Mark, when you make your report to Ad Council, will you give the numbers for 2022?
Yeah. We'll put together a year-end review. I actually, that's going to be next on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Well, or coming up here on the agenda to review the budget versus actuals that we got here in the last couple days.
And when Jane and Aaron input the budget, they will separate out the youth director and education director positions.
Yes, that's already
Yeah.
understood.
All right. Any objections to the budget as we have it right now? No?
I don't have any.
Can I have a motion to accept this budget and then a vote? Jane motions, everybody approve, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's done.
Yay.
Yay.
All right, Bill, can you send that to me?
Yep.
This evening, and I will compile it for Ad Council next week.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, Bill and
Thank
Mark,
you,
great
George.
work.
Yeah,
You
thank
guys,
Really?
you guys stepped in when there was a void and you filled it, and now you've taken over leadership and done this work. So really appreciate your contribution.
Thank you. Bill did a lot of the grunt work there. I appreciate what Bill's done.
You've done such a good job. You can do this forever.
There we go. It should be easier next year because now I have 1 year experience and hopefully I'm not jumping in the middle of it. And
Right. And
hopefully we'll all be vaccinated. We'll be at church and we won't. It'll be a lot easier. But I'm sure there'll be some curveball along the way.
bite your tongue, Bill.
Sorry.
All right, recent financial reviews. I did post a couple files to Planning Center this afternoon. Let's see if I can find it and share my screen. Let's see. Is it that one? Wow, they don't make this very easy. Endowment fund. Did I close it? Hang on.
If you want me to share it,
Yeah, maybe you should. I had it open and then I must have moved it and now it's gone.
which one do you want?
So just open the like December year end through December file.
Okay.
GF.
GF annualized.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I had that open on. Let me make sure this is the right.
Oh, I found it.
Okay, can you see that?
Not yet.
Not coming up yet, Mark.
Oh boy, it says I'm screen sharing.
All right, let's see if I can try this again. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, all right.
Is that you or me?
I think that's you, Mark.
Okay,
Yeah, it's Mark's screen.
all right.
Mark Young.
Ah, did that? Wait a minute. Disappeared. There we are.
I was having trouble scrolling through it, Mark, and I think she's got a,
Yeah, I'm having the same problem.
so if you click on view,
There we go. That's
oh, so
scrolling.
I think she has the, yeah, you got it now.
Okay. Just tell me when to scroll and I'll do it.
Well, in general, I just like, wanted to look at the kind of bottom line for the year.
Okay.
Which is actually at the top.
Yeah, bottom line at the top. that we ended with an operating income well over budget. A good portion of that from the PPE, if I'm not wrong.
That's correct. If you take the PPE out of the 448,716,
Yep.
there was technically $936 under budget.
That we came in behind, like under, we missed.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right around 400,000. So not too bad.
Right.
Total operating expenses, particularly given the environment we were in. And then total operating expenses were down. So we do have quite a nice surplus coming from 2020.
Yeah, if you take the PPP out, the surplus is $17,548. So we were still in the black.
Okay.
George, I'm not following that. I thought the PP was 48,485.
That's what I'm trying to find.
Yeah.
48. I think, George, I think it's the other way. I think it's 48 or 17 in the red.
The whole overage is due to the PPE, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. The over budget item of 47,549 actually turns into an under budget of 936. And the operating surplus goes from 82,489 to 17,548. For the actual,
Okay, so with that explanation, were we over budget or under budget?
My calculation, if you subtract if you look at the over budget value of 47,549 and you go down and you subtract the 48,485, we came up $935.85 short
On income.
on income, below what we had planned.
And operating expenses were under budget by 34,900.
Right.
So I think we end up, George, check
We're
the
in-
math. I think we end up with a good of 35,000 bucks or so.
Yeah, we're in the black for 34,000.
Because we underspent the operating expenses. In other words, total income comes
Correct.
out right
Right.
about at budget, except we got an extra 48,000 from the government. And we were way under budget, or 35,000 bucks under budget in our expenses. So we come out to the good.
Yeah, well, 30. If you take PPE out, we had a 34,000 surplus for the year
Right.
because we're under budget. All right.
But remember, the under budget was only because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
Mm.
right. Because
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. And largely because of one position not being filled, but also
Right.
some expenses down because of the pandemic. Yeah,
Right,
it's not like we did anything great.
right. Not, not trying to pour cold water on it, but
No, but so what happens to that 34,000?
It just stays in the bank unspent.
Okay.
I thought we passed a resolution that it went to Mark Young.
No, I seriously don't remember that.
I don't have a vote in this committee, so that's unlikely.
Why are we taking out the 48,000 from the government?
Oh, I don't think we are. I think we're just talking about it. The
Oh.
48,000 is in the bank.
it's in the bank. Yeah, just from the standpoint of how we did without that
Oh,
loan.
I got you. Okay, I thought you said. you were-
Yeah.
You know, if we didn't have that resource available, how did we finish? So
The answer is.
So
here.
go ahead, Dave.
I said the
Sorry, I was just going to say, not to steal Tom's thunder, but it is formally forgiven. He did all the paperwork. Thank you, Tom. Did all the work, and so the loan will never be repaid. It is our money.
Oh,
Yay.
that answers my question. Thank you.
and then I guess so the next item of business, you know, along the lines of talking about the PPE, you know, was and I think this goes back to previous leadership and the discussions that happened, I guess, either at Ag Council and at Finance about what should we do with those funds if we get to the end of the year and find out that we did okay. And I think the general belief was that there would be some expenditures towards supporting community projects or some missions or something. And I guess I'll let the group speak to what they recall from that.
We discussed this in finance or administrative council.
That's why I'm trying to remember which it was, and I don't recall
I
exactly.
remember discussing it in finance.
Yeah, I don't remember discussing it in finance.
Me neither.
I don't recall having any discussions about what to do with the leftover money from this. We were talked about discussing what we were going to do with the money that we would have received from the sale of the property, but I don't remember about talking about this.
Okay.
I think probably administrative council needs to discuss it and make that recommendation to finance. I think that's, I mean, you give the numbers to administrative council and tell them what was left over from 2020. Here's our budget for 2021, and then ask administrative council to discuss that, because you'd want them to put that on record to know what to do moving forward. I mean, we haven't had that discussion because we haven't had a surplus for a number of years.
Right.
So I think you just make the recommendation or presentation to administrative council and they'll discuss it.
Okay.
Can I jump in here? When we did the Congo project, remember we did that in Ad Council, and that was due to the surplus in the brokerage account. We had a windfall in the brokerage account. Said let's tithe 10% of the 50,000 that we had, and we thought that through, and you know there was an opening to contribute to the Congo project, and we as a church contributed about $9,000 to $10,000 to the Congo project. And Ad Council probably is the place to discuss this kind of surplus, but you guys are all members, and if you have ideas about worthy projects, I think it's you should talk about them now, and if you want to make a recommendation to Ad Council, that'd be a great thing.
So these faces will show up at the next meeting.
Well, some will and some won't. One of the things that I've noticed in the neighborhood is Open Hearth has moved from Spring City to just down the street from us. And Open Hearth is an organization who deals with homelessness, transportation, and financial problems of indigent people. A job that we don't, do a great, we don't work a lot on those kind of things. They're pros at it and that kind of thing. Now, beyond that, I don't know much about Open Hearth, and I don't know what their record is, and I'd like to do a little more research. But they also feed people, so you could work the food program into it too if you're interested. But Mark, have you had any contact with them? Yeah, they took over the Medical Arts building. They got it donated. The one that's across from the funeral home at 701 South Main.
You mean the old Bookworm?
No, it's down.
The medical. Yes.
Remember that's been vacant down there?
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't realize they moved in.
Somebody, well, I mean, that's what it says on the website. I mean, I just don't know much about their activity. The Clergy Association is listed as one of their supporters.
Well,
the Clergy Association.
Not active. I can tell you that for now. What I can tell you is that Open Hearth has been part of the group PARN, and they do their, that's the Phoenixville Area Resource Network, that had been meeting in Fellowship Hall monthly, and that puts out the help book. And it's an organization of nonprofits spread largely across the area, but even into the county at large, and does a lot of coordinating from that. That is what I know Open Hearth. That's the sense in which I know them. I am unfamiliar with any feeding program that they've done. So
Can I make a suggestion? It seems to me like when we've been talking about budgets and things like that, that one of the things that was mentioned in the slideshow is that because of certain budgetary restraints and stuff, that trustees have not been able to do some projects, have just sort of been put off. And I think it'd be great to give to a certain amount of this to a ministry, but when you look at some things that have been deferred, couldn't we use some of this money to do some projects that we have put off that probably need to be done or need some attention? I mean, this is money that people have contributed. I'd say, yeah, let's give some to some agency, but it was put into that presentation to the church that we've deferred projects around the building that need to be taken care of. And I think if we don't do that, that's not good stewardship of our money.
Well, thanks, Dave. I appreciate I appreciate the funds, and it's something that I complain about all the time. We're good at giving it away, but we don't always take care of ourselves, and that's an important part of this too. And but we really are in a surplus situation. But I'm going to talk a little bit more later, and we have money to do both. And as a Christian, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to take care of the building and do the missionary and the outreach stuff.
I think that's true. I think if our presentation to the congregation is we've deferred some things, if we have a surplus, I think we need to take care of the things so they won't become emergencies. So, I mean, I'm with you. I'm all for giving part of this away and giving it to missions and things like that. But I think if we don't take care of some of the things around the building, that's just being irresponsible.
It might also be possible to find out if there's a local business, a repair business of some sort that needs the work right now. that would help them stay.
Yeah, we always try to favor local businesses in
Yeah,
everything we do, but
I know, I'm just,
the one project that's on my mind is this stained glass windows, and I would like to do that rehabilitation. It's sometime, and that at last estimate it was around 25. It's probably, that was 2 years ago, and it's been deferred maintenance, and I would like to go ahead with that at some point. And I feel comfortable doing that now, but the reason we went into austerity mode was that the financial situation didn't look good. We had the COVID outbreak going. There was a lot of uncertainty in the air, but financially we have really held our own, and that's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. I'm happy about that.
Couldn't you make that recommendation that we take this surplus of 34,000 and put up and fund a deferred project with the stained glass windows for 25, and then use the remainder of that for some type of ministry or something like that?
Yeah, and I would suggest, a gift of 25 is large to a ministry. It's like with Open Hearth, I was suggesting some sort of something less than that, just to get support, to start supporting this organization. We have 20 or 30 organizations that we've supported in the past, and they're all wonderful, worthy projects, and they all hit areas of need in the community which we don't address directly. But I was thinking on the same order as Congo Partnership, $5,000 or $10,000 to somebody would be, if the Finance Committee is interested in doing this. And but I would really propose it concretely to Ed Council for the final say on it.
So perhaps we could use a similar to model that what Tom had recommended during 2020 with the good performance of our funds. We could say, we recommend that we tithe the PPE funds. So the 48,485, finance recommends that we % of that to some worthy local cause or worthy world cause, whatever it is. Although since we just did world, maybe it would be local. Which leaves the remainder for projects such as Dave Hayes has suggested.
Yeah, or the missionary we support in Tanzania. I mean, that came up in the budget discussion, but kind of surprised me. It even had a line in the budget. That's great. Why don't we take care of that obligation now? And that's one less thing that we have to do in the budget in 2021. That's
Dave Shaw, what would be the tithe on that PPE fund? How much did you say?
It'd be $4,849.
So that still leaves between 4,000 and 5,000 there, which if you wanted to go with to put that toward our obligation to Tanzania, you could recommend that as well.
let's share it with a bunch of different things. I'm great with that. I think that's
my thought was, I don't want to say start small, but let's figure out a number that we're thinking about here. And it looks like with the two numbers you added up, let's say about $10,000. I could argue a larger number, but then perhaps break it down by quarters this year and have Ad Council, take let's say the number just for round purposes was $10,000. In this first quarter of 2021, can Ad Council take 2,500 and pick a project, whether it be Tanzania, whether it be Open Hearth or PARN or some other worthy cause, and then come April in the second quarter, do another one, and as we kind of evaluate how the year's going on, we can decide to increase or decrease the value of that quarterly giving. That's kind of my thought. And like, so you don't, put all your eggs in one basket right away, but you kind of establish a program or a process by which we're always thinking about taking advantage of this kind of thing.
Would you leave this to administrative council sort of as a committee of the whole, or would you give this to a smaller committee to make recommendations, or how would you work that, Mark?
I would suggest we give ad council a number recommendation, and then let them decide if they want to delegate it to missions, or if ad council wants to be in charge of deciding who would get it.
Okay.
Something like that. I'm not sure, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Another item that was on my radar was Don Kovich's recent death, and he has a fund set up at Grimes that's care of his wife. So we need to do a little bit more investigation to see where those funds go. But he was a pillar in the community, and
Yeah, really.
Go ahead, Mark.
The Social Concerns Committee is working on a way of memorializing. So that is under discussion there also. They may be making a larger announcement after their next meeting. I think the Grimes thing is entirely appropriate too.
Right. And I'd also like to give kudos to George for the Share the Plate program. That's another program that's kind of under the radar that people don't realize that we do, and yet we successfully every quarter we give a check away to some organization in the community. And I forget who we did last, Mark, but you might remember. But
Well, actually, I think Dave may have something to say about that whole program.
Yeah.
Dave Hayes?
Dave Hayes.
Yeah. I don't know, Mark, do you have that on your agenda for, I sent you a note about that?
You sent me a note. I don't remember. The last quarter was the clinic.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
And I don't know the amount off the top of my head again.
it was like $500 or $600. It wasn't a big deal, but it
was enough
sustains
to
these
say we know you're here.
organizations.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And the missions committee actually has made suggestions for the Share the Plate donations for this year and an idea about how to go about it. I don't know if you want to discuss that now or as a separate point.
But maybe the discussion would be, do we want some of the funds to just pad what's already be given in the Share the Plate portion? That could be decided.
Mhm.
Thoughts on doing something like that, or again, allow ad council to make the decision. We just provide them with a reco to start spending. I don't mean spending, contributing, donating.
I think it would be helpful, Mark Poche, if you went to ad council with some numbers, as Tom said, and said,
Yep.
here's our surplus, here's what we recommend that you do on it, and then let them decide that, instead of just saying, like, it seems like what the discussion's leaning toward is giving a bulk of that to trustees to do the stained glass project, which has been deferred, and then use the rest of it for maybe quarterly for some type of missions project.
Yep. Okay.
And
Yeah,
you don't have to do it now, too. These funds will be in the account for the year, and you're open to needs in the community which come up through the year and through special requests.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was thinking about it as like a quarterly kind of thing, where you don't go all nuts on it on one, one deck. Let's kind of address needs as they come up throughout the year. Not only our own needs within the church and the building and what we can't foresee in the future, but also in the community as well.
So if you do that, then I don't know about where, but does that money sit someplace in some fund or something? That if we wanted to use it, we say, this is what we go to this place, or is it, that's what I'm not sure about.
It sits in the checking account.
Okay.
And another thing, Jeff, you have to keep in the back of your mind is that we're projecting a shortfall for 2021.
Yeah, George.
So-
So, I mean, if I was doing the math, what I personally would do is I would take last year's surplus, which was the 80, whatever the number was, 86. Subtract this year's shortfall. I'd round it up to about 20,000. Subtract another 30,000 from what Tom mentioned for the stained glass. So that's about
Yeah, 50 out of the 80, so you're at 30,000 left.
Yeah, so you're about 30,000 left that I would say is probably worth us discussing in terms of usable funds throughout the year to, for these kind of projects and also, additional trustees projects that might come up later in the year. So, don't spend it and give it away all at once, but that's kind of the upper limit of what I was sort of thinking would be the number I'd mentioned to Ad Council. And we could talk about it being 10% in tithing. And so considering a lower number. So there's different ways to split it up and think about it. So if you guys are okay with me talking to Ad Council in that sense, I can give them a couple of variations of ways to think about it and let them chew on a little bit. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I just have one suggestion. Instead of letting it sit in the checking account, can we let Tom manage it and see if we can make it grow a little bit?
I'll talk about that a little bit too. But there's because we're stimulating the economy, it's a wonderful investing environment right now. The brokerage account and this is a blessing to the church is in the 2 weeks that we've been trading this year is up $50,000. I mean, that's 50 on top of 100,000 that we got last year, and we maintain a huge cash balance in our and that's the tradition here. I mean, we've always maintained a pretty big cash balance. I have a balance in the memorial fund account. It's only $6,000 or $7,000, but yeah, we could transfer that into the brokerage account and try to do better.
And I think that makes sense, Bill. I keep track of how much is in there monthly, and it has actually grown this past year because of the budget performance you saw. So let me connect directly with Tom and see if there's an amount we want to move back into the endowment. What has typically happened, and this kind of ties into the question you had, Dave Hayes, on these years when we're not meeting the budget, we go through the year and the checking accounts gets lower and lower. And then once per year, Tom transfers some money into the checking account from the endowment. So this is kind of the opposite of that. We had a year that was very good. And I think you're right. Tom and I should put our heads together and see, should we make a one-time transfer back into the endowment, even if in September we got to move 20 back or something. So I will take the to-do to connect with Tom.
All right, I'm writing that down. Tom and Dave to look at that and give us a recommendation.
I'll just kick out another quasi rule of thumb. My daughter's been in fund development for nonprofits for the last 20 years. And one of the rules of thumb is that you should have at least 3 months income in your checking account.
Mm-hmm. Sort of for everybody, I think.
Yeah.
So for us, 3 months is $100,000 basically, give or take.
Yeah, and the last
we
report I
traditionally-
have is mid-December, and we were like 133 grand in mid-December.
Yeah, and we've traditionally had around 90,000 in the, when we were healthy, we have about 90, and then it drifts down to about 60 during the year. You might, Dave, you might even consider adding a kind of a statement to the financial reports that we do now that shows the cash balance month by month. I think that would help us all, get a grasp on
Yeah, good
where our
suggestion.
money is.
All right, I'm going to put together a quick little report to send to Ad Council for us to talk to. And Dave, if you have any other supporting info from a treasury, I guess that's my next item on the list, from a treasury report standpoint, endowment fund balances, checking balance, whatever other supporting real-time data you have that you want to mention. And then here tonight, is there anything in particular you want to bring up?
For the treasurer, no, but I think you make a good point. I think, Tom, you submitted some documents for endowment funds, but I will, Mark, get you the current or the year end, at least, checking account balance.
Okay. I did see a file on brokerage accounts that went out that I had posted. Tom, is there any other? I think it was Tom.
Yeah, the brokerage and the endowment are trustee silos, and we've traditionally kept them separate from the finance department. So if you want to open that and share it with the group, I did try to send it to everybody, and Mark Poche indicates there's a way to put this on the church website. Okay, great. All right, now if you look at column U and V, you can see that the endowment rose 2020 versus 2019 to a total of 392,000. That's line 17, 392,000, and was up in dollar terms 52,000 this year, or a 15% gain. This is versus the Standard & Poor's index. It's an index versus dollars now. It's a little bit of a funky comparison, but it's relevant. The S&P went up 16%, and the funds that are in the endowment went up 15%. And you can see in the column Z, the last column on the right, what the annual returns are. These are annualized over the 7 years 6.8 years that they've been in there, about 12% versus the S&P, which has gone up 14%. Pretty good return. There's nothing wrong with this kind of return, and it is professionally managed. And this part of the funds are Fulton Banks, and they've generated reasonable returns over the years, so we've put them in there, but they haven't been quite as good as the brokerage. And if you go to the second tab there, the brokerage tab, thank you, Mark. You can see that for 2020 versus 2019, that's we're over F and G first.
Sorry.
F and G, the account ended up the year at $331,000, or a $98,000 in cash return of 42% versus the S&P of 15. If you look over at I, J, and K, the next group over, this is what I mentioned before. The first 15 days of the year, we've increased another $51,000, or 15%, on the ending balance of 2020. So it's been spectacular, but it's all due to the stimulus that the government is doing, and that's the way you should think about the PPP loan. It's a stimulus. The government is simply dumping money into the system in the hopes that we'll spend it on goods and services and keep the economy afloat until we get through COVID. And of course, Mr. Biden has proposed a gigantic stimulus package in addition to what we did last year. And I don't suspect he'll get all of what he asked for, but he will get some portion of it. And it looks like at least the stock market will do quite well in the next year. You know, that of course there's more risk with stocks than there is, and it does go down faster than it goes up. So you have to manage the risk, and I hope we've done that successfully. And in the last three columns, L, M, and N, you can see that the endowment since we started managing it actively has gone up 63% since 1/31/19, or $146,000 total. So that, you know, it's just been it's been fortuitous. It's not it's just been a climate where financial assets have increased, and this has, you know, societally, this has increased the difference between people who don't have financial assets and people who do have financial assets even more. The stimulus helps the rich. This is something you should think about as citizens of this country. It increases the disparity between the poor and the rich. And you know, this church, with the resources that we had, is lucky and fortunate to have some portion of our assets in financial assets these past few years. And you know, that this will not sustain itself long term, and that's why we're interested in adding to the endowments to provide a strong, financially stable church that can sustain itself during the lean times, which are undoubtedly coming. Higher interest rates and will make these returns dip in the future, and the Fed is dedicated to driving up interest rates right now. So, well, the inflation rate. So it's all great news for the church. Mark, can you pull up that payroll protection file I sent you? That's the other one. This was.
Let me see if I can find it. Hang on. Oh, I think I did post that one. Hang on. I'm sorry. Where's my other Excel? File. How do I do this?
I'm just amazed you can do this stuff.
Yeah, really.
So many windows open, I can't figure out which window's which here. Okay, so you sent me the FUMC needs test for PPL loan.
That one.
Okay. Where did it go? It's here somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, it's just one sheet.
So
There it is.
There you go. Okay. Last week, the bank sent us the new rules for the payroll protection program second draw. We would be eligible for about $50,000 more under this program if we meet the needs test. The needs test was a 25% reduction in net in gross receipts. If you could demonstrate that, then you would qualify for it being forgiven in the end. You don't have, since we would be borrowing less than $50,000, we don't have to supply this information on the form, but you can see that our reduction in gross receipts over the the 2-year period was between 14 and 4% a year. So we would not be able to make the forgiveness. Now, so the question is, do you want to borrow money that you have to pay back? And I would suggest, since we're in a healthy situation, that we don't do that.
Yeah.
What does the finance committee think about that?
I agree with Tom.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I would concur.
I agree with Tom.
Yeah.
We don't need it. We don't take it.
Okay, but remember, it's not a question. It's not a question of need. The government is pumping money into the system. It's neutral. It's.
I know.
I don't think we should apply for the next for the second draw.
Seems to be the consensus across the team. Is there anybody, I don't want to steamroller anybody who has a different opinion. Does anybody want to mention, an alternate view? Going once, going twice. So you see a lot of head shakes, no. All right, Tom, thank you for putting that together. I saw there was some email traffic about that, and I didn't know what the exact numbers were, so thank you.
Okay, well, I got the floor. Let me finish a couple more items. Gas conversion, we got the meter placed. After a 6-week delay, PECO finally placed the meter. And we have, at last check, 780 gallons of fuel oil left to burn off. These are approximate figures, but it'll give you a feel. We can burn that in about a week if it's cold. Now it's a little warmer now, and we're probably not going down as fast, but in about a week we'll we'll add a gas burner. We'll take the oil burner out and put a gas burner in, connect the system, and we'll be on gas from that time on. Fuel burns cleaner. It's about currently about 1/3 less expensive, and we spend typically $18,000 a year on fuel oil. So this will result in a nice cost savings for the church. Have paid $7,000 for the gas burner on the first round, and I need another $7,000 to pay it off. That's $14,000, unless we run into some issue that I don't foresee. We'll be letting a check for that in the current month. I'd like to switch over to the land use project. I got into.
Go ahead. That's the next item on the agenda before we wrap up.
Okay. The Hankin Group got in touch with Neil Fisher of the Hankin Group. He's doing an affordable senior housing project in downtown Phoenixville. It's 50 units with 34 parking spots. It's called Phoenixville Commons. It's been approved by the Borough Council, but the PFHS agency, which gives you the tax credits, has not approved the project yet. So he would like to concentrate on that project until it's finished. And he is not interested in being a developer on the Phoenixville First United Methodist Church project. So he is a Christian, and he's interested in helping us on a consulting basis, which I think we should take advantage of, because we're neophytes in this endeavor. And he also will do this on a pro bono basis, so it doesn't cost us anything to keep in contact with him and run the project plans by him that the other developers have put together. Unless the committee that's working on this doesn't want to do that kind of thing, I would recommend it as a kind of a second opinion on the, and there's still a possibility as a local developer who does this type of work as part of their give back to the community, that he, if it doesn't happen with one of our developers, maybe it will happen with him sometime in the future. So
Maybe we can consider paying him back via a donation to a charity or an organization of his choice.
Sure, sure. I think they probably have a foundation or something like that, and that'd be a nice thing to do. Okay, I'm going to switch to the appraisal right now. Marty Carmody of the Carmody Group is estimating they should have an appraisal within a 2-week period. They would like a little bit more detail on the plans that the developers have kind of sketched out. How many units, how much acreage, that kind of thing. Just a sketch of the project, so that they can make a more refined estimate on what the land is worth. And yeah, that's it for me, Mark. I'm good now. Thanks,
Tom, will you provide him with the information from Woda Cooper?
Well, I wanted to run it by you guys first, because maybe you don't think that's such a great idea. I mean, we're not sharing the we'd had some discussion about how much you share and everything. I just think it over and see if you think it's a good thing to do, or I can just kind of make it general, like, it's 30 to 50 units so far on a 2.2 acres of land, that kind of thing. Maybe that'd be enough for him to get a feel. But it'll probably be his Neil's value would probably be on the what the developers come up with. I mean, I think that's I think there are going to be terms and conditions that we don't see yet that we're going to have to deal with, and I think he'd be a good. We could bounce the, it's just like Petra has said. Well, the appraisal has to be done under different standards than Carmody is doing it. We could bounce that by him and see what he has to say. But let's talk about that offline. We're keeping the finance committee.
Yes, so Mark Poche, why don't you let Tom and I talk about what information to provide this assessor, and let me share another piece of information. We also got an email from Steve Cambick that indicated some parameters he thought we should use when we get the property assessed, based on the fact that we want to eventually have it used for government supported housing. So let Tom and I connect on those two subjects, and then we'll come back to finance with a, recommendation. Does that make sense, Tom?
Yep, that's fair.
Absolutely.
And so to continue on land use, so we have heard from Steve Cambick. He continues to strike me as the smallest of our potential partners, the least capable of giving us a lot of money for our property, as opposed to Woda Cooper, which seems to have put a very large offer on the table right away. So I don't know about long term with him, but just as Tom talked about Hankin, it's good to stay engaged with him just because we're learning. So he had sent this email to Tom and George and I with some information about the assessment that we have yet to discuss. So we'll do that. And then finally, we're waiting from, who's the other one?
Housing Corp.
Church Housing Corp said they wanted to get back to us in mid-January. I haven't heard anything from her, so I'll connect with her and see where they stand on putting something together. I have the impression it'll be more similar to what we got from Woda Cooper, but let me follow up with her.
Okay, and I think there is, Cambick may generate the lower number of funds, but he did the Seal Point project, and that project was pretty well executed. You can't fault him for the delivery of a nice looking housing project in your backyard. Woda Cooper is going to build an industrial dormitory back there for 60 units.
No.
I think maybe there's a choice here to be made and
Yep.
what you finally get. So, and I'm all for generating as much money as possible, but it's sometimes the most money isn't the best decision. So anyway.
Yeah, totally agree. That's why we want to stay engaged with as many of these people as we can, because it isn't just the dollars, it's the whole package, and we're still learning.
Yeah, and we're going to live with whatever they build back there forever. So, hopefully,
So along those veins, let me put one other update on the table. Robert Peters, the aggressive expert that is working with us, he also made sure to call me before Christmas and say, due diligence, making sure I gave you every opportunity or all the information. You could put market rate apartments back there, get your money much quicker, move much faster, not have to get government approval, and get just as much or more money than you're seeing from Woda Cooper. So he wanted to make sure we knew that there was still that possibility of, depending on what's important to us, it doesn't have to be financially supported housing. It could just be market rate housing, and we could move quicker and get even more money. So he's thinking of ways to close a deal that includes Robert Peters.
I would like to add one more comment that Neil Fisher made while I was talking to him. I asked him, do you think Phoenixville is getting overbuilt on these on apartments? And he said, not in the affordable category, because Chester County didn't get many approved for in the affordable category. So he says, yeah, we're good on market rate apartments, but the need is greatest in the affordable housing area. As it always will be.
Yeah, I think all of Chester County is like that right now, except for maybe if you get down to the southern Chester County. But yeah.
Okay.
I can see that. My daughter's going to graduate from college here this spring, and she has one job offer, and we started going through all the finances of like renting an apartment and all this, and she was just, I think, sticker shock of how expensive it is to live on your own.
Yeah.
In this area, it's so unaffordable. It's amazing.
You always come home.
That's right. She can live in the basement.
Welcome home, honey.
Yeah, well.
Does she have a front door key?
Yeah. She has my car.
Ah, well.
To be very honest with you, there's nothing wrong with having them come home for a while either.
Yeah. I don't think she wants to live with us.
I'm sure she doesn't.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for those updates. Any other items of business tonight?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I sent you a note, Mark. I don't know if you got it or not, but the missions committee met last night, and we are going to be reinstituting the quarterly share the plate projects.
Okay.
And our concern is that since we are not passing the plate, we need some ways, creative ways to get, have people be able to give money to it. So bringing this to finance, the best way is to give electronically, but we need to have a way to do that and a way for me to give instructions to the congregation about how they can give. One of the suggestions last night was in the non-electronic category, that people could just write on the outside of the envelopes how much they were giving to missions or the share the plate category. But electronically, I know we have Vanco, and Mark Young said there's a way that we can do that through Vanco, but there are other people in the church who don't give through Vanco, that give through their bank or credit union or whatever. So how can we do this, set up a fund for it quarterly, and how do we encourage the congregation members to give to it and be able to do this remotely? And I don't know if you can give an answer tonight, but
You could take the historical plate offering amount and divide it by the receipts, and then give that percentage of the receipts to the plate offering.
right. So if you don't have plates,
Wouldn't be accurate, but you'd have a fund.
If people are doing electronic giving through their bank, you can usually put something on the memo line. It may necessitate them making multiple, you set up your regular plate offering, and then you could set up an additional offering as share the plate.
Well,
Put that,
Jane can set up a button through the Vanco system. You do not have to be a Vanco user in order to use it, I believe. Where someone can just go to the share the plate button, click on it, and then fill the information out how much they would like to do.
Something we can put on our website. Is that what you mean?
Yes, and it has the capability. She would have to change the designation every quarter, but it would take 10 seconds, where it would say share the plate dash fill abundance. Then the next 3 months would be share the plate dash
the clinic. Right.
Share the plate dash the next one. So that could be done too. And then if people knew from the e-news or wherever that they could go, if they wanted to donate to that, they could.
Okay, so
as a one-time
yeah.
donation.
How can we get instructions so that we can have people give them alternatives if they want to give electronically? Here's exactly how to do it. If you want to give through your offering, your envelope, designate on the outside.
We would have to put that in the e-news.
Well, yeah, so I'm looking to do that as soon as possible, but I need instructions of what to tell everybody to do.
That needs to come from Jane.
Okay.
Well, I would want to work with her and support her in that. If
Yeah.
you remember, Dave, when we implemented the new giving paths last year, if you can picture the e-news inserts, it's kind of complicated, right? If you're listing 3 or 4 different ways to give. And so I'm just sitting here thinking about it. So maybe let me connect with you. Tom's way is super simple. Calculate a percentage based on history and just tell people that's what we're doing and tell them to give a little bit more. A single way to do it, press the button on the website, or multiple paths to do it. If you usually write a check, here's how you can write more. If you usually do this, I guess I'm hesitating about let's give them 4 or 5 ways to give, depending upon how they give. Maybe it'd be simpler to give them one way to do this, a button on the website. So can I connect with you, Dave Hayes, in the next few days?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
And let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I've written those inserts for the e-news based on what we did last year. So whatever we decide to do, I can help craft that insert.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, we're just trying to get missions up and running again. And, we've picked the first quarterly project, and we're just trying to give away for people to, and I agree, you could take a percentage, but, when you actually give some of your money and make an effort to do it, you feel like you've really done something. And I think that people will do that. If you can find a way to do it and we can write instructions and give it to the congregation, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me think about it for a day, and Mark Young maybe also loop you in
Okay.
for the solution, but
That'd be great.
I'll get in touch with you.
Okay, that'd be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to mention the e-news again. If we began this discussion by discussing opportunities for the congregation to be generous. If you opened it up every quarter to a different mission and did it in the e-news and encouraged people to give, they certainly were generous with the Congo partnership. And I think if you know, that's a little bit simpler than earmarking your electronic contribution to the, cause.
Yeah, we like the first, just to, the first quarter, we've decided, because food is such an issue with people these days during the pandemic, we have picked Phil Abundance to give to. So Bob Kerwin is going to write articles for the e-news at least once a month, if not more, telling about what Phil Abundance does. And now we have to find a way to get the congregation to be able to give. That would be fairly easy to do, to give to this for the first quarter. Then we'll switch to another one. So we're going to be getting back into the share the plate thing, but we just need ways for them to do it distance. So if that's a good suggestion, Dave. If you can think about it, and we can set up through e-news, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
All right, anything else? That was a good topic, Dave. Thank you. I have next meeting, third Tuesday in February is the 16th. Any objections? All right, that's all for this evening. Pastor Mark, would you mind closing this evening in prayer?
Sure. Lord, it's great to have the problem of knowing how to share. And we thank you for that being what's in front of us. We just ask that however it all turns out, it goes where it is most needed and does the most good and makes the most people aware of your love, and that all things come of you. For it's of your own that we give you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Good night.
Everybody take care.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bill. Night.